Hello, everybody. Welcome to Northwest Ohio Unsolved. I'm your host, Blake Schultz, and first thing we're going to do right off the bat, so there's no misconceptions, in no way, shape, or form, we are trying to discredit any eyewitness testimony, statements, or make any accusations. If we label anyone you know in this case, do not try to make contact with them or harass them in any form. We will go over some sensitive information such as sexual assault, murder, and more. Please tune out if you have to. Hello, everybody. My name is Blake Schultz. I'm your host, and today we're going to cover a topic that is pretty close. Which I grew up in Paulding, Ohio, and multiple people that are going to be watching this are probably going to be from around the surrounding areas. Now, this is meant to bring light to the case, not to defame it or anything such in the matter. There is still people looking for this. There is still an active case going on. As we'll dig deeper into that, we really would just want to let you guys know that we're just trying to bring light to this. And once again, with that disclaimer that's probably being put on before this, we don't want to bring any hatred towards anyone in this case, or harass or affect anyone's lives just by covering this case. Now, with that being said, I feel like we can dig right into this case. Nancy Eagleson was a 14-year-old victim from Paulding, Ohio. November 13th, 1960 was the date. This case is still unsolved. There's still people looking out for this case. I don't know what is the current predicament. I have no information. Neither do I really have. Well, I do have contacts, but I don't feel like I should reach out to anyone on the Paulding County side of things for sheriff office wise. So, the basic case overview: Nancy was abducted, sexually assaulted, and murdered in what remains one of the most well-known and one of the most haunting unsolved crimes in Northwest Ohio. Also part of the known here, once we've already stated, this is going to be covering the night of the crime of what exactly happened. November 13th, 1960, around 7 o'clock, Nancy and her 5-year-old sister Cheryl walk home from a movie. I'm pretty sure this was a drive-in, or later became a drive-in. I know it was demolished when I was younger. They stop for a soda. Home is only minutes away. A man in a dark car offers them a ride. They decline. The man, if I'm not mistaken, initially acts like he's going to head out, but eventually turns back around. The man gets out and forcibly abducts Nancy, pushes Cheryl to the side. I think basically not throws her, but basically pushes her to the ground towards the ditch. He later drives off. Later that night, early the next morning, a massive search begins. Within hours, Nancy's body is found. I'm pretty sure it was a hunter, but I could be wrong. 8 miles away in woods off Route 111. She had been shot and sexually assaulted. 1960 and 1961 was the start of the initial investigation. This is the main investigation period, I should say. Hundreds of leads investigated, vehicles matching descriptions checked, reward money was raised over time, up to $6,500. At least one suspect, Thomas Bale, was investigated and cleared. Despite intense efforts, no arrests were made. Update since 2013 a woman's shoe is found in the old jail site. No DNA link could be made. Adding on to this, I have watched a show before, and I think a good chunk of people at the time probably watched the show. It was a travel channel show called Links to Hell or something like that. It was a ghost show covering the old Paulding County Jail, which was active at the time. Um, and I think they were trying to link bones or something, but they were all 100% animal bones. Even though they left a mysterious little percentage out at 13%, they were all clearly animal bones. I can tell you that for sure. 2022, this is probably the first major breakthrough attempt, and it took a while. Court allows exhumation of Nancy's body for modern forensics. Of course, they didn't have this at the time. New goal was a DNA and forensic analysis, dig deeper into what they could find using the modern technology nowadays, since this case has been at least 50 some years old. 2023, big updates. New autopsy reveals Nancy was shot twice with a .22 caliber gun. Not once, as originally believed. Composite suspect sketch was released based on sister's memory. Suspect description: adult white male, medium build, wearing church clothes, probably tie, coat, fedora, possibly glasses. And we're gonna dig deeper with information I just gave you, with some possible theories. Once again, I'm not gonna point anyone out or say specific names or anything like that. These are just basic core theories for the case, and we're not gonna dig too much into it. We're not gonna go super crazy. There still is a lack of knowledge due to just how old the case is at this time, and people may say it's 1960, but at the time they didn't have the resources like today. This is the most I could determine out of everything. I have 8 possible theories. Pretty basic. I'm not going to go into much detail, like I said. Of course, the first one is the stranger / traveling offender theory. Man passes through the area, abducted Nancy at a random point, used a vehicle quickly to leave town, committed the crime, and dumped the body before leaving the region. This is definitely quick and impossible at the time. You have Fort Wayne right there. You have Detroit. You have Cleveland. You have Columbus. There's multiple possible major cities you could easily escape to. It fits the bold, quick abduction plan, especially dumping the body at a random site. This is sort of a theory that really backs that. Local man is primarily the second theory. The killer lived in or near Paulding, of course, knew the rural roads, and chose a familiar dump location. Felt comfortable stopping and interacting in a small town. One of the most widely believed theories out there right now, from ABC to the sheriff office. Well, I can't confirm that, but anyway, on to the next theory. Respectful appearance predator. What do I mean like this? Of course, the suspect was seen wearing church-style clothing, tie, coat, fedora. Used a clean-cut appearance to seem trustworthy. May have intentionally blended in to avoid suspicion. I would say this is a very calculated man if this were the case, and it seems like it just by the church closed because um, unless they were going far out of the way, like I said in the first one, I think this was predetermined in some shape or form. Known community member, unproven suspicions throughout time, even through the investigations, like I said earlier. No one really came to light, even though there was a couple pops, and here and there, there was the garage sale gun theory and everything. Them trying to find DNA of the possible murder weapon of the .22 caliber. Um, Known community members, of course, the theory that the killer was known by locals, may have known, possible avoided suspicion due to reputation or position at the time. Once again, I'm not gonna list any of my suspects for that. Botched investigation, impact. Early investigation errors and loss of evidence prevented solving it. Key details like number of gunshots were missed. These were just like basic ones that weren't really able to help pinpoint the possible killer. Um, Cover up theory. Once again, some believe mistakes or misconduct were hidden, fueled by evidence and lack of resolutions. One of the biggest ones at the time, and still is today, some people believe the sheriff tried to cover it up. Serial offender is also one of the rare but main theories. The killer may have committed similar crimes elsewhere. Uh, could have been active across multiple states. I'm not saying this was like Ted Bundy or anything, but the 60s were rampacked with serial killers and multiple people across the state. There's been multiple people that are reported gang members. I think the mafia was pretty much active at the time, was still pretty much active from Detroit, and there's rumors that they would pop into Paulding, Ohio, and different local cities in Northwest Ohio, just how close Detroit and Fort Wayne and places like that were at the time. Another theory here is opportunistic. Sorry, I'm butchering this. Predator. Hopefully you knew. Yeah, my voice is a little wonky today. So, anyway, suspect saw Nancy and acted impulsively. The crime wasn't pre-planned, just seized an opportunity, and I feel like this isn't the case. Once I mentioned earlier, he was wearing church clothes. I think this was very predetermined. I think he purposely wore clothes to make Nancy feel comfortable enough to trust him, or at least acknowledge him or reply back to him at the time. So, because if it was me, I can't judge Nancy. If I didn't know the person or didn't look trustworthy, I'm probably not going to speak to him. But I could be wrong. But the church clothes is telling me this is probably predetermined in some shape or factor. But the randomness of the dump site, I don't know. Bottom line, most supported theories out of all these are local offender or a traveling predator. Everything else remains speculation without confirmed evidence, in which there was a very lack of at the time, and you can't blame the police officers of today on why this is unsolved. Especially, most they have to work with is 50-year-old evidence, or how old this case is, plus the lack of evidence other than the DNA matter and what type of weapon they used, where they dumped her, everything. It was a horrible, horrible crime that was committed. I hope somehow, some way, this case is solved one day. But it's getting harder and harder the more we let time pass. I know there are still people alive today that may or may not have known the suspect or were close with the victims or the murderer potentially. I know people know. There's gotta be someone out there, maybe still alive or used to. There's gotta be something that points towards us. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, probably one of the hardest and most twisted cold cases out there in Northwest Ohio. Once again, this entire episode was meant to bring to life the tragic passing of Nancy Eagleson and bringing justice to her case. Now, you want to hear more unsolved mysteries, cold cases, and such of, please subscribe to my channel. Follow me on my social media because I will update you on what is coming next and give me ideas of what possibly you would want to hear me cover. Until next time, you have a great day.